Welcome to our podcast. You're listening to Sunny by Ixon at www.ixonmusic.com. Welcome to Why Complain When You Can Whine, making sense of the senseless, three professional women attempting to make sense of toxic nonsense while drinking wine. I am Dr. Jody Larman, licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California. Therefore, I must make this disclaimer that anything that we discuss in this or any other podcast is purely for entertainment and psychoeducational purposes only. And tonight it is Passover. So I have a kosher for Passover wine. Don't ask me what makes it kosher for Passover, different from other wine. It's the whole process and blessings and all that. But I decided to try a Chardonnay. So yes, it is a Jewish Baron Herzog. Definitely sounds Jewish, right?
Yeah.
Wine, and it is a Chardonnay, a California Chardonnay.
Nice. Very nice. I'm Heather.
Sorry, I just have a regular
glass.
wine glass. Yes.
Eventually we'll get these intros down and interrupt each other and make mistakes. I'm Heather, licensed professional counselor out of Denver and domestic violence survivor. I'm not drinking wine tonight. I went out with a friend earlier today and drank, so I'm drinking some low alcohol vodka soda stuff. So, but my cup is I'm fresh out of Fox.
I love it. That pairs very well with you having non-wine tonight.
Yes, and in honor of the Easter weekend coming up, and of our loyal stalkers, I wore a shirt that says, "Y'all need Jesus."
Amen. Amen.
Oh, that's gonna ring a bell with someone.
I know. That's why I did it.
Oh, hello everyone. Hello everyone. God, we'll get there. I'm Ashley Paige, domestic violence survivor and single mom, founder of Loving Single. I literally bought this bottle of wine just for the bottle itself because I thought it'd be really pretty vase. It is Fleur de Prairie. But look at that etching.
I've seen that. Yes, that is so pretty.
Pretty.
That needs a candle wax melt.
Yeah, that takes me back to, I think, high school. I used to have those white, the white candles that drip color.
Yeah.
And then tonight I just have my golden star.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if y'all haven't noticed, I got a new camera.
Yay.
Oh, Jody. The saga continues. Finally, Jody won't be blurred.
Yay.
Hopefully.
Cheers, ladies.
Salud.
Cheers. So I have tea.
You do have tea.
Golden
star of the show.
Let's just say two. We have no idea what this tea is. So our reactions will be genuine. We have no idea. We are very curious.
So I'd like to preface this and say that I feel ashamed. This might be a partial therapy session, except you're not my therapist and you're not my psychologist.
Right.
But my friend therapy. What's that saying we have? Drinking wine with your best friends is
best form of therapy.
Best form of therapy, and talking shit. And that is tonight. Because help, I got myself into a toxic relationship.
Dun dun dun.
No judgment. No judgment.
Shock music.
I should have looked on my phone. Yeah.
We need like this funeral music.
No.
We do.
So tell us, tell us the story.
This is, and I think this is gonna be really great for everyone because it's, first of all, I'd like to say it's super humbling because the last relationship, I swear to God, I will never get into another toxic relationship. That was what I swore to myself. I made a lot of life promises. And so I apparently broke them to myself. So long story short, there was one man that I dated a few years ago, and he was the only man that never hurt me. He was amazing. He like was there for me in my darkest times. And we've all got that like one that we could either consider like they were the one that got away, or we exploded it and like I said I was too toxic. He like worshiped the ground I walked on. He was the man that paid for my hotel rooms when Naya and I were homeless. He was amazing. And he wanted to be in a relationship with me, but at the time I was like, no, I can't make my heart beat for you. Like literally something's wrong with me. I think I'm broken. I have no feelings. And he and I had been friends for a long time. And he was like, it's okay. Like, first, I'm your friend, first and foremost, but like, we'll get there. I know you're going through a lot right now. And it didn't work out. And I ended things with him after a couple months of trying. I was like, I gave it my all. I tried to be in love with you. I tried to make this shit work, but I don't feel anything for you. And I'm starting to feel bad because I feel like I'm taking advantage of you. Because he was just throwing money at me, paying for my bills. And I hated it because I felt like I needed to, one, rescue myself. Two, I felt like I was taking advantage of him. And three, like, I was so fucked up because of what I was going through with my daughter's father. During that time, it was when he was in Mexico and right after he had hired someone to kill me. And so I was just a fucking disaster. We were homeless. I had lost my business. I had lost my house. I had lost my dog. I had lost all of our personal belongings. And in swoops this amazing man who's like, I'll take care of you, baby. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, he loves me. He loves me. And then I was like, no, I can't do this. And then I ended things with him. So flash forward the last 4 years, I did all the hard work. I picked myself up from ground zero, built a business, got myself an apartment, bought a car, fixed my credit, started making all this money, started teaching about abuse. And then this like little like thought in my mind is like, how's he doing? I miss him. And like, is he doing well? Like, I'm finally ready to love now. And so I had been drinking. Actually, I'm going to be totally honest. It was after our podcast one night. I was shit-faced. And I don't know why I was thinking about him, but I was like, I'm going to like text him. Because I had been trying to just get in touch with him, literally, not because I wanted to get back together, because it was bothering me because I heard that I had broken his heart. So I was like, I just want to apologize to him for what I did, for how he feels like I used him. Just want to apologize and make shit right. So I had been trying and he wasn't responding. So it was after our podcast one night and I was like, okay, I'm going to close the door. He doesn't want to communicate with me. So I sent him a text message and it basically said, like, hey, I understand and appreciate and respect the fact that you don't want to communicate with me. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate how you were there for my daughter and I during that time. And I'm so apologetic and I'm so sorry for however my brokenness hurt you. And I'm like deeply sorry. And I'm always going to be appreciative for you. And like, I'm not going to text you again. I'm going to leave you alone after this. Literally within 3 minutes, he texts me right back. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I just finished my podcast. So we get on the phone and we start talking and I'm just like apologizing to him. And he's like, well, why don't you are you okay? And I was like, I'm pretty drunk. I'm going to be honest. And this was like my first red flag that I didn't listen to was he was like, well, why don't you come over here and we could talk? I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, you did go over. Okay.
So he ordered me an Uber and was like, hey, just come on over, we can chat. Okay. And he's like,
we could chat.
And he's like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty fucking pissed at you for I've been mad at you for years. For what you did and how you did it. So I go over there and we talked for 2 hours. Okay. And then before I know it, things happen. And then like, but it was very much different because I'm a different woman. And then like out of nowhere, I feel like I found myself like feeling the things I wish I had always felt for him 4 years ago, because now I was a different woman. And then we started hanging out, and just it's been about 5 weeks, to be honest with you. It's very short-lived. This is very short-lived. And I started paying attention to the red flags I never paid attention to before. And then I was like, oh shit, fuck, crap. I'm in a toxic relationship with a man that now I realize didn't really love me 4 years ago. He was love bombing me and throwing money and gifts and things at me in order to get me to commit to him, which is why I thought that he worshiped the ground I walked on. And which is why this time feels so different. And by that, I mean, because now that I'm here and I'm like, he's feeling love for me and affection and like all the thing, like commitment. Now it's like silent treatment. You don't exist. Like, I'm going to ignore you for a few days. And then I'm going to like give you breadcrumbs. And then I'm going to call you on the weekend because he works out of town. He gets back in town on Thursday nights, calls me so that we can hang out for a few hours on Friday night. And then it's like, ignores me again. And I was like, after about 3 weeks of trying to communicate with this man, being like, you need to communicate with me. I was like, fuck.
Ding, ding, ding.
The girl who talks about toxic relationships, the girl who educates about abuse, the girl who educates about love bombing and like all of this shit. Look at the situation I'm in. And the worst part about this is he's best friends with my best friend's husband. And so I'm hearing about the other side of his opinion and what he's thinking from my best friend's husband. Mm-hmm. So of him like not wanting to see me, and he's like, it's bullshit, and like all of the things. And so I'm like, oh fuck, how did I get here? I'm so humiliated. And how the fuck do I how do I get out? And so on, I think 2 nights ago, I said, I know how I get out. I block him everywhere and I go no contact. That's just how the fuck I'm going to get out. Like, and I don't care what he thinks about me. I don't care what happens. I don't care any of it. I don't care any of it. I just have to get the fuck out of this because I believe I'm listening to my intuition this time. I believe the red flags. He showed me who he is, because that was the most confusing part. And I had the tools this time. So that was the most confusing part was, is he the man that I met 4 years ago? Or is he the man that I see right now because I made a commitment? And you can believe behavior. And I've learned to believe behavior more than I believe words. So that was the thing. But now I feel like I'm licking my wounds and I'm really fucking embarrassed. And I feel like it re-solidified why I want to be single. And also it makes me feel like, I know this isn't true, but it really makes me feel like all men.
Right. So wait, you got the unspoken stuff from your friend. So you know he was punishing you. You know that he was doing this stuff on purpose. Like, we all know that he was, but I mean, you got confirmation that he was.
Yeah, you definitely got confirmation that he was a douchebag, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing was like, he was saying all this shit behind my back, and I found out about it.
Yeah.
And so then I went no contact, blocked him on all social media, like blocked him on my phone number. We hadn't talked for like 5 days. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call from my best friend who's like, he's just devastated. He can't get in touch with you, and you've blocked him everywhere, and he just wants to explain to you So this is like me going through this shit in real time. He just wants to explain to you he's devastated. He needs you to understand where he's coming from. And like, I'll be honest, the guilt bothered me last night. And then I was like, no, bitch, you're not going, no, like, you're not taking him on block. Like, don't let him, like, this is how the Hoover works. So it was really, really wild to come into this and be like aware of all this shit this time versus before.
But you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe he's not NPD. Maybe he is not a fully toxic person. Just the act of, you broke my heart, so now I'm going to punish you.
That's what it was. I'm going to make you feel what I felt 4 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. It's not cool.
He could easily have said, hey, you know, you hurt me. I'm not going to do this again. But he chose to say, yeah, come on over. And in his mind, I could just see the little snidely whiplash going, this is how I'm going to hurt her like she hurt me.
And I'm just gonna dive all the way in because I was trying to be a lady about it. But here's the thing, okay, is with the men, it seems to be like, I'm gonna fuck her and then throw her away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like the thing about it is like, I'm gonna get what I want out of it, and then like I'm just gonna toss her. And it's just
that sounds familiar.
You know what's crazy though is like, I'll be honest with you, I had a great fucking time. I had a wonderful time. Like, it was fun. I had a lot of fun. And you know, for the girl who's single and doesn't date and doesn't hook up and things like that, you know, I think all the women can understand and relate to. We're just gonna be grown adults here. Like, when you go that long, it's great. It's wonderful. Like, it's needed. But then typically when this kind of shit, when I get discarded or ghosted or silent treatment, I start to immediately question my worth. What's nuts this time? I fucking didn't. Like, I was really super disappointed. And I was really sad because I was like, oh shit.
It is all men.
It's all men. But then I was like, but I'm a fucking catch. Like, you know, like how fucking dumb of you to do this to me. And I wasn't heartbroken, but I was really embarrassed, I think.
Well, it wasn't personal. It was personal because he wanted to hurt you, but it wasn't personal in that you have no value, you have no worth.
Yeah.
No. That fucking objectification of like, are you okay? I'm pretty drunk today. That was his cue to be like, let's have this conversation when you're sober.
Right.
I would love to hear what you have to say to me, but you're not in your right mind right now. But instead, he was like, come on over so that I can continue to take advantage of you and get what the fuck I want out of this. Because he didn't give a fuck about your apology. He probably wasn't thinking about you for the last at least 2 years. I mean, maybe, but like that's what pisses me off is that for when men take, like, especially when someone says they're intoxicated and they use that as an opportunity instead to be a fucking dirtbag, instead of an opportunity to be like, this is not the time to have a really emotional conversation.
But you know what? Okay, maybe Ashley did break his heart. Let's say that Ashley broke his heart. And there's always in the back of your mind, you remember that one person that kind of broke your heart. So when she contacted him again, he started devising a plan, honestly, of how to hurt her back. Now is my opportunity. So how can I hurt her back? Oh, he led you on, but silent treatment. Then when you say, okay, fine, forget it. That's when he jumps in with wait, no. Cause then he doesn't have that chance to hurt you back. Well, and on top of it all, you being drunk, and men, honestly, there are some women, it's not all men, it's not all women. However, women, when we have any kind of intimacy, there's usually some emotion involved.
It was okay. I will say the sex I had after my healing was totally different than the physical intimacy I ever experienced while I was toxic and broken and in my trauma. Because especially being a survivor of sexual assault, it was very much, there is no lovemaking, there is no intimacy, this is just, we're fucking. Like, and I hate to be that graphic, but for a lot of women, that's what it is, because it's like, I'll give it to you before you take it away from me. And I'm not going to like open myself up. This is just purely like animalistic. There is no emotion involved or attached, and like I'm completely closed off. So like after my healing, it was like the whole level of intimacy was very different. But like the thing about it is like I had heard from people for years, like, he's still in love with you. He's still like, he says that like no woman comes close to you, this, that, the other thing. And what's nuts too is like, I noticed that even over the course of 5 weeks, and I'm sure both of you will be like, yeah, we totally noticed that. I started noticing like, even within myself, I was like pulling away from Ashley. Like I was pulling away from all the shit that I've been doing. Like I was becoming distant with like my content making. Like I was becoming distant with my like research. I wasn't writing my blogs. Like I wasn't like, you know, and as involved with my community, like my like inspirational texts. And like about like third week into it, I was like, I don't like this. Like, I really don't like this at all. Like this, I would choose loving single and the women and the community and the work that I do, the advocacy work, over a romantic relationship any day. And so I started to see and like recognize right away, I'm losing myself. And this is not even that one simple thought was enough for me to be like, fuck, I'm in a toxic relationship because I'm losing my identity and my autonomy. And even if I'm only seeing him 1 week, the fact that I'm like this emotionally involved and like sidetracked is enough for me to be like, I need to get the fuck out.
You know, I've noticed when I know people that have been in toxic relationships get out, and then when they get into another relationship, whether it's toxic or not, they put all their in there. They put all of them in there. And it's like, you need to pull back. You need to not. And that's one of the reasons when I hear people say, how did this happen to me again? It's because you jumped all in. When somebody suddenly shows you, and I'm not saying this in a mean way because we all want to be loved, but when someone shows us love and we came out of a toxic relationship and they're showing us love, I know too many people that then give all in and don't look at the signs like you of, oh my gosh, I'm pulling away from all the things that I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of shame attached to it too, because I was watching myself go back and forth between old Ashley and like new Ashley, and it was really disorienting because like I was like, wait, first of all, like I know this man, I was with this man, we were together for a long time. Before that, he was my friend for 6 years. So it's not like I'm dating a new man. One, the justification of moving things too quickly. That's what I did. Was I was like, I've known him. So it's not like a brand new relationship.
History. Yep.
Because we have all this history. But it was a brand new relationship because I was a brand new woman and I had no fucking clue what he had been up to for the last 4 years. So we were different people. And because it was given this like violent shove into like seriousness, then all of a sudden I have my expectations up here and my standards up here for a man that could not meet those. Like to the point where like I'm looking at his life, the life he's living and what he qualifies as his everyday lifestyle. And I'm like, there's no fucking way in hell that I would allow this around my daughter and I, but still justifying it because of our history.
Man, I can't even tell you when I was with my abusive ex, like how often it was just justified because we had known each other 20 years. I mean, even by the end, when I was done and he was like calling me from the jail, like, we've known each other for 20 years though, to try and like jolt me back into that. It's so like history, especially if you're sort of like a sentimentalist type person or personality like I am. If you have history with someone, if there's already a story woven in there, it like almost makes it impossible to like be like, let's not like totally pick up where we left off and do what we do best. And you feel like no time has passed at all. So I totally get where this happened fast for you, and like it was almost like a whoop off your feet and then boom, wait a second, back down to earth.
Well, and the first sign for me, I have to say this and get it off my chest. The first sign for me that I knew, fuck around and find out. That's what I did. All right. I just fucked around and found out, and I was like, I'm going to see for myself. But the first sign was the little voice inside my head saying like, tell Jody and Heather. And then the other voice on my side being like, no, you know what they're going to fucking say. That was the first fucking sign. That was the first fucking sign that like, Ashley, you fucking know better, because you're ashamed and afraid to go to your best friends, because they're not only are they your best friends, but they're a psychologist and therapist, and they're going to talk you off the fucking ledge, and you want to fuck around and find out.
And you know, honestly, there's no problem with fucking around. As long as you know all I'm doing is fucking around.
And you are going to find out eventually.
Right. But when you're in something that you're considering as becoming a relationship or in a relationship, but if it's just like, if you think, okay, we're in a relationship, especially because I've known him for so long, but if you ever feel like you can or cannot say anything either to that person or to your friends for fear of, like, if I said anything to him, or if I didn't do this or didn't go there or said no or had other plans, or he's only here. This is another thing. He's only here, like he works during the week. He's only here on the weekends. So I have to give him my weekends because that's the only time I'm going to see him. It's like,
well, and that was the thing too, is because I'm learning, this could be a whole other fucking episode, because of how controlling my parents were with me as a child. As a 35-year-old woman, I'm still afraid of being in trouble. I'm still afraid. I remember dealing with like when I first got diagnosed with mast cell, and then the doctor recommending like, you may want to get your medical marijuana card in order to help deal with the stress. I was terrified of what my parents would say, like in my fucking 30s. And I've always, and especially the shame and like the guilt that was placed on me after everything with my daughter's dad, I'm still feeling like a child. I still feel always like a child. I still don't even take myself seriously as an adult in many ways. I don't see myself as a 35-year-old woman. I still see myself as like a 9-year-old little girl. And so like when I feel afraid or like ashamed, I hide. And like, I recognize that about myself. And so a lot of it was, one, I knew, I was like, oh my God, they're going to ask me about him, and I'm going to tell him about the life he's living right now. And they're going to say, Ashley, he might really be a nice guy, but he's not good enough for you. Like, he's not living the type of life that's going to help elevate you. You're going to have to stoop down to lift him up. Like, and then there was the other side where I was telling him what I was doing, and he was super supportive of it. But one night we got into a disagreement, and he was like, well, you just think you're better than me because your best friends are a psychologist and a therapist. And I was like, watch your fucking mouth. Like,
you are better. You are better than him.
I got super upset, and I was like, how dare you? So it was used against me when he was angry. And so I was like seeing all these like red flag, like blowing up in my face. And I was like, oh my God, the time is now. Break away. Like,
Yeah.
he's not a narcissist. He's not
No.
any type of cluster B.
But he's just not grown. He's not
he's
grown.
just
He's
not-
not healed. He's not, yeah.
Exactly. He's just someone who sat in their trauma and is staying there.
Yep.
And the thing is, the fact that you know this intuitively, that he's ghosting you, that he's hovering you, that he's love bombing you, that he's discarding you, but then to also have someone confirm that is like,
Mhm.
there is zero need. You owe him nothing. No explanation, no anything. Because he knows what the fuck he's doing. And now you know. So you don't need to explain to him, dude, I found out, goodbye. Because all he's going to do is deny it.
Well, that's the thing, is like, it is the never ending need of the toxic person to play the fucking victim
Victim.
and blame shifting. And well, she did it to me again. And I was like, I talked to my best friend. I was like, listen, I realize now I wasn't the villain then. I'm not the fucking villain now. I realize now I did what every grown adult should do. Back then, I went to him. I said, I'm not ready for this. I don't want this. I'm sorry. I can't take your money. I can't have you supporting me. I need to rescue myself. That was a healthy decision. And I communicated and I ended things out of fucking respect. I didn't run. I didn't ghost. I didn't anything. I handled it. He didn't like it. And then he played the victim and blamed me. I didn't. And I told him this. I said, I didn't break your heart, friend. I said, your expectations broke your heart because you expected that you could throw money at me, you could rescue me, and I was responsible and I owed you my love. And I didn't have that for you. I didn't break your heart. And so this time around, when I'm finding all this shit out, and then now that I go no contact, he's like, I'm just devastated. No, you're not.
Oh,
You're not devastated.
Your plan didn't work out because your plan was to hurt her, hurt you, and have you devastated when he walked away. You caught on to his plan. You stopped his plan. So the only thing he's devastated by is the fact that you figured it out. And he didn't get to go all the way through with it.
Yeah. I mean, he was going to talk shit behind your back and do what he was doing no matter what. He's just mad he got caught. He's just mad he got ratted out.
Yep. In any, I was just talking about this yesterday to a client. If you're in a relationship and you feel that you are not your true and genuine self. Now we all have personas. We have court persona. We have rage persona. We have library persona. We have podcast persona, but it's still all part of us. It's just a different side. But when you are in a relationship where you literally feel that you cannot be you, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being all out you feel like you have to be about a 1 or a 2. Because if you get any higher, you're going to get a literal or a figurative emotional mental beatdown. So anytime that you feel that you have to watch who you are is the biggest red flag ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
I commend you for like noticing that you were losing pieces of yourself that were valuable to you. Like that's that codependency behavior stuff that I'll get wrapped into, where it's like, I like helping people. I like being there for people. I like self-sacrificing, but I can sometimes do it to an extent where I've completely lost everything that's important and valuable to me just for one fucking lame ass dude. So then I regret that later because I don't get anything in return. So I commend you for kind of noticing, one, that you were like sacrificing pieces of yourself for somebody that, looking at what he valued and what his lifestyle was not going to work. And then noticing too that you were isolating from the people that would call you out on that shit. Because I do the same thing, especially if it's like a couple of my really close friends that know me or my fucking parents. Like I will lie straight to my mom and dad's face
Uh-oh.
about whoever I'm dating, because none of them are never going to be good enough for them anyway. But like, if I definitely know that this is not someone they're going to approve of me being around, because they have, like my ex, seen him be abusive to me before, like I would just pretend I wasn't even with him. And then when he was going to jail after assaulting me, then it was like I had to come clean after I was now a fucking domestic violence victim, right? And that was not a fun conversation to have, because I almost didn't even tell them about that, but I had nobody when it was over.
Yeah.
So I'm relating to a lot of like what I go through in the beginning stages of all of my relationships, even the ones that weren't toxic or violent, is there's like this self-sacrifice nature that I have, where I want to build something with a person at the expense of what I want and like what is important to me. And it's one thing that I never ever want to fucking do again. Like,
no, not
You know,
even fucking worth it at all.
I understand when you start a new relationship, you want to go out with that person, you want to be with that person, you take time away to go on dates and stuff like that. But when you're doing things that are basically your life's work, if you will, and you stop doing that and you reschedule that and you move that around. Okay, I can see one time, like we're going to a concert that's only on that, or going to a sports, or going to a music, or whatever. But when you find that you've fallen behind with doing your, I want to call it life's work, because I'm not talking about your job, even your job, if you start calling in sick to your job. But when you stop doing, like, I have my community scheduled on Saturdays, podcasts on Fridays, my blog on Sundays. And he's like, well, all I can do is the weekends. And you're like, okay. Then it's like, that's when you kind of go, that's not okay. Because there's compromise in every relationship, or there should be compromise in every relationship. And when someone is like, well, that's the only time that I have. That's not okay. Or even if they don't say that's the only time that I have, but you are giving up all your time, and they're not.
Yeah, well, and it was very, because I didn't stop doing anything that I was doing. I noticed I wasn't giving, I didn't have the same
Passion.
But also the thing is like, the biggest problem between he and I was that I was standing in my power the whole fucking time. That was the biggest problem between he and I was not who he remembered. I don't need you. And I made that very clear. I don't need you this time. And now I think it made him very uncomfortable that I had the upper hand, because the last time he saw me, I had quite literally fucking nothing. Nothing. I had nothing to my name. The car that I had was in my parents' name. I didn't even have my own fucking car. I was living in their spare bedroom with my daughter. I was on WIC. I was on a government program called TANF. He was paying for the hotel room. He was helping me pay for my daughter's preschool. Like, he had helped pay for her 5th birthday party, like all of these things. And I needed him. And so this time he saw me, and I drive up in a Cadillac that I bought in my name. Like, I have a successful business. I've got this podcast where like he was like, what are you doing Friday night? I was like, I have my podcast. That's like no exceptions. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And then Saturday mornings I have my support group, and it was like all these things. And he was like, well, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna not do that. And so it was all these things I had now that he had no higher ground. I was on higher ground this time, and it really bothered him. It made him super insecure. And it was this constant battle of, I will not lose the ground I've gained. I'm not going to trade my healing for any relationship with anyone whatsoever. And so I feel like even though I'm embarrassed, I'm also like really fucking proud of myself because like that's the fastest time for me because we only hung out like 6 times. But it was like he was like, let's be together right away. We're together. This is very serious. We're making
Ashley,
a family.
Why are you embarrassed? To be honest, why are you embarrassed?
Because I have a perfectionist complex. Probably, for sure. And I hold myself to a higher standard that I feel like is unattainable and unreachable in many ways. And so I'm like, oh, I'm loving single girl, and like single is my brand, and toxic relationships is my brand. And like I'm embarrassed because the first time I try after 2 years, it's a toxic relationship. It was given a violent shove of seriousness right away. And I think the whole thing was just embarrassing. I was embarrassed that I hid. I was like, I didn't talk to people about it. I didn't ask for accountability. There were things that I wish I had done better. And so I just feel like I let myself down and people around me because I wasn't being honest about it.
But okay, for one, we all make mistakes. And I'm not even saying this was a mistake, but we all make mistakes. We all do things that we wish we could take back. We all do things that, oh, if I could do it differently, I would. The fact that you recognize, see, loving single doesn't mean you're going to be perfect and never, ever, ever meet someone that isn't slightly toxic. It means that when it happened, you used, even if it took a couple weeks, and it's just a couple weeks, the tools that you learned through your last relationship, since then, through your healing, through all the things that you talk about and discuss and preach, you utilize them and realize that, oh shit, this is not, I don't want to go further with this. And so that is a learning and a growth. And that kind of shows, instead of being embarrassed, it shows that you've actually have grown and you can speak on this shit happens, but this is what you look for and you do, and you don't owe anybody anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's not a, oh, fuck. It's more of a, this happened. And you know what? Because of everything I've been through, because of everything I teach and I preach and I do, I caught it.
Mm-hmm.
I caught it.
Yeah. You caught it in like 5 or 6 seconds, 5 or 6 meetups. Like that's like 5 or 6 days, you know, like shit went on for 5 or 6 weeks, but you didn't see him every fucking day during that time. So it was like just a few days and you were like, nope, this isn't what I want. That's huge. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. No. I think it's always a learning experience. And I also think that the majority of our healing is done on our own. And then there is a portion of it, a percentage of it that has to be done in the next relationship, right? That's where we're going to learn what's left to work on or what else is there. And so like you are going to do a little more healing with the next guy, you know? And I'm just like, for me, I'm mortified of the thought of giving anyone a chance again to prove me right that it's all men are fucking douchebags. Like my fear is that am I going to get to a point where I can balance like, okay, that guy is a good guy where I'm not looking for toxic shit, you know, because that'll be me too. Because I'm like,
yeah, because we're afraid if we don't look for it, we're gonna miss it. So everything is, but is it really? Right. I don't know. So it's very mind fucking in its own.
Right. Well, that's like its own part of healing that needs to be done with another person.
There's that too. And then the other thing is like, this is gonna sound there is the stigma around this is what really pisses me off this is something I learned about him rather quickly and I called him out on it and he and I got into a very big disagreement about it because he said something about women and when he said it he called them females. Yeah. And I got really fucking pissed. And I was like, I don't think you understand that what you've just said is so deep rooted in misogyny and also like this underlying hatred of women
Mm-hmm.
that you're not even there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it became very clear to me very early on that he just doesn't like women. And this is something that I've seen like so prevalent is men like to fuck women, but they don't like us. And like he loves his boys. Like if he could marry them, he would. And then he'd just fuck women. Like because he hates women. He looks down. Like it became clear to me that like the respect, the like the honoring a woman's heart. I think that in general, men typically look at women as property and a trophy, not as an actual human being, because he wasn't hearing me and listening to me the way that like I watch my dad listen to my mom. But all of that to say this is it really made me insecure, like to even have this podcast and like talk about this honestly, because if men are in a circle and they're talking about like, oh yeah, I got with this chick like I've been with her for the last 5 weeks. We had amazing sex. It was wonderful, awesome. Like, and then I got rid of her. Like, there's nothing, they like high fives, trophy, fist bump. And then when a woman has that conversation, whore, you whore, like, and that's like honestly one of the reasons, because this is a very public platform. Like, you go on fucking social media, YouTube, you're airing your laundry with the whole fucking world. And I'm just honestly like really tired of being ashamed of shit. And like my whole brand was built on me being honest. And that's kind of why I was like, I wanted to talk about like shit. I got myself into another toxic relationship. But it's really hard for women because men look at us and they're like, what a whore. Like, you whoremonger. Like, keep your legs closed. But with men, it's not keep your dick in your pants. They get high fives for sleeping with a woman right away. And it's really infuriating to me. And that's why I was like so embarrassed, because a woman is taking on so many things when she sleeps with a man. We're taking on like, the physical intimacy, the emotional attachment, the risk of getting fucking pregnant, STDs. Like we have to think about all the shit. And men are just like, it's just fun. It's just sex.
Yeah.
So I think that's where all my shame is at right now.
Yeah. Yep. Because as much as men kind of don't like us very much, it makes us also not like us very much sometimes. Like we have internalized some of that also, because that's just what we've been acculturated to do. And society makes us think that we're whores for enjoying sex. So we internalize that message for a long time. It takes a while to like turn that around and really feel empowered by just liking to have sex and not having to think you're a big old slut whore about it. Or like we even still call it a hoe phase, right? Like when we're like kind of in that place where we just want to go have fun and have sex and not like be in a relationship at all because that's where we're at, and we call it a hoe phase. Like that's what we call it even. So there's like a little bit of internalized hatred of ourselves still. That
one good thing with getting older is you do hopefully start to learn that a lot of that shit that people think doesn't matter anymore, as far as your own self-worth. I mean, not just my being through a toxic relationship and then going to therapy and learning that I am a damn good clinician. I'm not an idiot because I was in a toxic relationship. All of that stuff, all of that growth. And then my practicing what I preach and the ability to tell people, look, it fucking happened to me. You're not an idiot. It happened to me too. But when you get to a certain state, I know that like I went out on a date and I had sex in my car because I wanted it. And I went to work the next day and I was like, I had sex in my car like a high schooler. I walked into the prison to the officers that I worked with, and they're like, how was your date? And I'm like, I had sex in my car. And they're like, oh yeah, you go. And I'm like, don't know if I'll ever do it again because I'm kind of feeling it today. But, and there were some people, some women who were like younger women who were like, oh my God, you had sex in your car? I was like, yep. Yeah, I did. What about it? So if you kind of learn that, I don't know, I guess my thing is you only get this life and this day this one time. And if you have regrets, like think about all the people. I'm not saying do anything. This is my motto. As long as it's not illegal, unethical, immoral, and I'm not talking biblical immoral. I'm talking about just immoral, like doing some bad shit to bad people or to people, or you're not harming anyone. Have fun. Because you only get this life this one time. You only get this day this one time. Whether you believe in reincarnation and afterlife and all that, it's still not this day. And if you think back 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and even going back to high school, where it's like the shit that mattered, it's like, why did it matter? You know what I mean? Like, if you remember anybody that was called slut in high school, so what now? You know what I mean? What effect does it have today? So I don't like that people, I wish I could have that people aren't mean to each other, aren't nasty to each other, aren't all of that stuff. And just people do what you want to do, as long as it's not illegal, unethical, immoral, or harming anybody else. If you slept with someone and it was consensual and you were of age, so you did. Was it good?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. So as long as it was good, I mean, it would really suck, no pun intended, if it was bad. Like I did all of that and the sex was awful.
Yeah. And like,
if you enjoyed it.
Well, and the thing is too, is like, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because I think that a lot of women, we're so used to the pressure that like society is putting on us and the shame that surrounds us being able to not only be feminine, but also be like, I hate to, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like almost like animalistic about our own physical needs and our desires, and like that we like live and breathe and hide in this like cave of shame. And I just was like, I don't want to fucking do this. Like, I don't want to hide. I don't want to not talk about it, because it was very liberating for me. Mm-hmm. It was very like, it was a really wonderful experience, because one, I've been thinking about this man for 4 years because of how good he was to me. And I've been checking on him. I've been like, I've been reaching out to apologize. And I got the closure that I wanted. Like, because
important. Yeah.
It was one of the first times that like I looked at a situation and I was like, you know what? I'm actually fucking proud of myself, because
you should be.
Looking back on it, I actually did the mature thing. I told him, and I did the hard thing. I told him I wasn't ready and I left. And then I went and did the work and I healed. And then after I healed, I went back to him and tried it again, and it didn't fucking work out. But it wasn't because of me this time. And then when I saw the red flags, I left. So like, it was kind of a reassurance to me, like, we're learning, sis.
Yes.
Getting there. And we're getting there.
When I left my ex, I didn't speak to him for 2 months. And then after the 2-month time, I sent him just this letter of closure. Like, this is the fucking asshole you are. And then we started just talking. And he was like, I said, okay, if we want to salvage 10 years of friendship, let's go to therapy. And I did try to salvage, but at that point, I don't regret it at all, because by doing that, I was able to, oh, fuck no. Fuck no. There's no wishing, wondering, could have, what if, should I have, did it end the right way? No, I am like, I tried it. I tried to be friend. No, motherfucker. No, I will never want to be friends with. There's no love lost. So going back to someone, I don't care how many years it's been, to even get that final little closure of, now I can erase that from my board. Now it's I know that closure is there, and there is there's no inkling of curiosity that's gonna nick at me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I only wish I
that's
hadn't
important.
done that, like, to the extent that I got hurt more, like, or traumatized more. Like, there's some things that you don't need fucking closure on. There's some,
No.
some
And there's
people that
something
you don't
like,
need closure on.
I will never get closure with my ex, but I was able to give myself closure of,
That right there.
I don't fucking want this ever again.
That was the life lesson for me, and it makes me like want to cry and like happy tears, because it was, I might cry. It was the realization of like, I love myself now. Like, I love, like, my life is crazy and it's chaotic and it's stressful. And like being a single mom is really hard. I love my life. Like, I love my life with just me and my daughter. And I love my like two best friends that like I do a podcast with. And I love helping women. And I love my support groups. And I love the plan that my daughter and I have made for our life. And like, I love myself. And like, I don't need a man to prove to me my fucking value. And like, I choose me. And that was so fucking empowering that like, I gave myself closure, and I was able to make a decision based on like who I've become and like the healing I've done, that like it was really scary and also really fucking beautiful. I can't tell you, I haven't slept last night, like, because I did all this like the last 2 days, and like I wrote him a really intense letter. And even in the like text message I sent him, I told him, this isn't for you. You don't need to read this. This is for me. And I'm closing the door. Don't bother texting me back because you're blocked. Like, it was just for me to like be like, I'm ending this. And that was really fucking powerful, because all the previous times it was coming from desperation of like needing to be loved and looking for someone to affirm love for me, that I was worthy of being loved, that I was worthy of being chosen. And I stood in my worth this time and said, I choose me, I love me, and that's fucking enough.
You've grown, and this, instead of being embarrassed or humiliated or mortified or anything, you should be proud, because this is proof of your growth and your healing.
It was so embarrassing though.
But you know what? Honestly,
like this part that's like, damn it. But that's okay.
but you know what? Honestly, I mean, I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I have friends that it's like, how many times you have sex? 3? Awesome. I wish that was me. So I gotta say, as long as you had good sex, you got something out of it.
It was, I mean, I'll be honest with you.
You know, we need that release too, you know? Hey.
Well, and what's interesting too, that I even learned in the sexual exploration, is that when I'm not operating in insecurity and I'm operating in my worth, even sex is better.
Sex is better. Way
Yeah.
better. Oh man.
Because like, because I don't have my walls up, and there was so much that I took from this situation. But it was also just kind of super humbling at the same time.
I want to stress this to you, Ashley, and I know this is your own feelings and your feelings are valid, but I really hope that after tonight, instead of feeling embarrassed and humbling, you should feel proud that you have grown and your healing path is the right path, because it's showing you your true worth, your true value, and what to look for and what you will and won't accept. And it took 6 weeks, but it wasn't 6 weeks of every single day. It was 6 visits or whatever. So be proud of yourself more so, in my opinion, than being, I know feelings are valid, but then being embarrassed and humbled and all of that. It should be like, I did actually pretty good. I figured it out. Yeah.
It was the fastest turnover for me. It was excellent. I like,
Yeah,
there was the initial like, damn, he said that. Like, what? Like, and it was also, there was a momentary like questioning of worth when I found out like, what? But then it was like, oh no, motherfucker. Like, and then there was the questioning of myself being like, maybe I shouldn't unblock him and give him and I was like, nope. Like, and I even remember saying that I said that to my best friend, one of my best friends today, who's out here. And she's like, are you going to unblock him? And I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And I said, absolutely not. I said, he had an opportunity and I'm not going to recant my boundaries because you teach people how to treat you. And I've let him know what I will accept and what I won't accept. And this is what I won't accept. And it's not my responsibility to make sure that he's okay. He's a grown-ass man. And if he's not okay, it's because he didn't do what he needed to do. And he didn't treat me with respect because I wasn't being needy. I wasn't being clingy. I wasn't being demanding. I set my standards. I held my boundaries. And I'm not going to apologize for it.
He had an agenda. He had an agenda. And you went, yeah, not happening. He fucked around and found out.
He did too.
Yeah, he fucked around and found out.
He did too. And it's really weird to be in a position where you're like, oh, this is how this feels. And like, this is really odd. Yeah. And for the first time, I was like, I choose to be single in this situation. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship if this is what it looks like, which is what I ran away from all the times before. I was like, please choose me. Like, I don't want to be single. I don't want to be alone. And because of the healing I had done and the life I've built, I was like, man, I'd rather be single than this fucking bullshit. Like,
my ex used to tell me you need me. I was like, I don't need you. Here's the thing. We should never need anybody. We should want someone. Amen. I would tell my husband all the time, I don't need you to live and breathe, but I want you in my life because it makes my living and breathing that much better. And you should be wanted rather than needed, because wanting is a choice and I choose. So if you ever feel like you need to be in a relationship, that is the time to go to therapy and find out why you don't like yourself or feel comfortable with yourself enough that you need somebody else to fill that. So
yeah, my ex's dad called me out of fucking nowhere. And I talked to him today. I have a good relationship with him. He will keep his son as far a fucking way from me as he can. Like it's not like a weird fucking thing. But I hadn't talked to him since like September. So I checked in with him today and he said something about like him being kind of bummed that I was single. And I was like, oh no, this is the best time of my life right now. Like, I am not missing out on anything. I'm like, he's like, you sound like you're doing really well. And I'm like, you sound like you're doing really well. He's like, yeah, him going to prison was good for me too. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he was draining the fuck out of everyone and abusing everyone around him, not just me. Like, so it's we're all doing better and being, yeah. And Ashley, I'm super proud of you. I don't know that I could have done it. I don't know that I could have done it as quickly as you. Like I might have still been sucked into
Don't
it.
underestimate yourself either, Heather.
I know, but like, come on. I mean, we just had the whole like fucking Toxic Abuse Anonymous stuff. Like it took me a couple months there, which is for me.
But here's the difference too, really quick. Here's the difference between the Toxic Abuse Anonymous stuff and all the shit before is we were all doing that shit alone. And like, that was what I really was looking at this entire time was I'm not fucking alone. Yeah. Like I'm doing something that fucking matters. Like I see my worth. Like I have people that reaffirm my worth and what I'm doing is right. And whereas before it was this constant questioning because it was just me by myself or you by yourself and this toxic person love bombing
who claimed to be a healer.
Yeah, and then gaslighting you and then like manipulating you and then blame shifting and like all of this shit. So it was like a mind fuck. But this time it was like, this looks really familiar and I know how it ends. And so I'm going to bounce right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I'm just, I can't. It was also the commitment and the accountability to you guys and to everyone that I work with, where I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, it was just very much like, I can't.
Yeah.
First time in my fucking life.
I'm not going to let either one of you at all whatsoever victim blame yourselves. I won't have that. We are human. We make mistakes. Just because we've been there, done that, and learned from it, doesn't mean that we are going to be perfect from the here on in. You know,
we're perfectionists, okay?
Well, I explain to people, you know, if you have a smartphone, how many patches? If you have an iPhone, new software comes out all the time. They're developing new phones all the time. Why? Because they're perfecting on it. They found errors. They found things that didn't work. They found bugs. It's a work in progress. So are we. We are a work in progress. And as long as we are learning and we're not repeating the same mistake over and over and over, that
feels like the same mistake though sometimes, you know, it just does.
Yes, but when you look back and you think this was how many years versus how many days, big difference, you know, and we don't know and can't say, I will never, ever, 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 ever make that mistake again. No, what happens is you get into it and you see it and you go, oh shit, no.
Well, you know? That was part of it, Jody, because I was like, literally, I was like, fuck, I'm in the middle of being sued by a toxic man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got myself in another fucking toxic.
You know,
it's like, just do one at a time.
What is it? The frog in the frying pan. You put, or the boiling water.
I'm telling you.
When you turn up the heat, the frog will stay in it until it gets too hot, and then it's too late. Okay. You are learning. We are all learning our heat points. And it's not boiling yet. It's like, okay, this water's a little warm. I think there's a problem here. As opposed to burning up and noticing the problem.
Yeah, I think that probably was where my shame was at, just to be honest. I'm dealing with my daughter's father, who I've been dealing with for 8 years. And then I'm in the middle of a lawsuit. And then I find myself in another fucking toxic relationship. And I'm like, Jesus, Ashley.
And you said, I found myself in another one and I got myself
I know, like, still, like, I was sitting there looking at my life and I'm like dealing with, and I'm not talking about the case, but I'm getting emails from my fucking lawyer. I'm getting text messages from my ex. I'm being ghosted by this new guy. I'm like, what, bitch? Wake the fuck up and get out now before you have
And you did. And you did.
We
And
be
you
juggling too many balls. Too many
So-
balls in the
quite
air.
literally, Heather, quite literally.
Okay, that's a other podcast or off the podcast. You could tell us about that. Oh boy.
Fuck. Well, I love
So,
you guys.
On that note, it is time to wrap things up. Hopefully next week we'll talk about some dirty little secrets because I really want to tell you the stupid fucking shit that my ex did.
Let's
I
go.
really do. I so badly just, and I know we're not going to dox, we're not going to give names, but this guy's like, I just want to tell you, I think about it all the time because of the podcast, not all the time, but because of the podcast, I think, oh my God, I want to talk about that. Who does that? Who does that shit? My ex. I need to put it out there. So maybe next week we'll start thinking about if you guys have your own dirty little secrets of things that happen in your relationship, or if you want to talk about, holy fuck, I found myself back in a toxic relationship, just like Ashley did. And this is what I did. Comment down below on YouTube. We are also on Amazon. I've realized we're on Amazon too. Apple, I'm trying to get it on Apple, but I think I fucked that up. So I'm trying to fix it to get us on Apple. But we are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, which is why I have to get it on Apple, just because I'm an Apple person. Just, I don't know. That was stupid. Anyways. iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and Audible, and now Amazon Music. So you can either put a comment down below, or you can email us at wcwycw1@gmail, or lovingsingle.co/podcast. So please, any wine recommendations, glasses, funny wine glasses, or cute wine glasses, or stories, or dirty little secrets, or online dating. Oh God, that's another thing I want to talk about.
Oh God, I have too many stories.
I have some good ones too. That's another thing that I tell people, just because shit happens, think about it as, oh my God, that's going to make a really good story. That's how I look at things nowadays. Like when everybody's talking about stuff, if you're like, oh, mine was perfect, no one wants to hear that.
No.
But if you're like, oh my God, this happened to me, everybody wants to hear that. So if you've got stories, if you want to leave a comment, please, feedback, we'd love it.
Yes, we love it.
And if you want to tell Ashley how proud you are of her, leave that in the comments too.
We're learning. That's what I tell my daughter to say about everything.
We are a work in progress.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers, ladies.
I love you guys.
Love you.
Welcome to our podcast. You're listening to Sunny by Ixon at www.ixonmusic.com.